Let's talk about dance solos for drama school auditions. If you didn't know already, some musical theatre courses ask you to prepare a short dance solo to perform during the audition. In today's video, I'm going to be sharing my tips to help you with your solo. If you're new to my channel, hi, I'm Millie. Welcome to the Performing Arts in Me. I'm a second year musical theatre student at London Studio Centre, and on this channel I make videos about drama school auditions, the performing arts, my general life experiences and things like that. So if you're auditioning or if you're interested in any of those things, please do subscribe because I'm really trying to grow my channel at the moment and it would definitely help me out. I created a dance audition solo as part of my auditions for entry in September 2022, which was the round of auditions I did whilst I was on my Bird Foundation course. At Bird we actually had a class called Audition Solos to help us to prepare our solos for auditions, so I was quite well supported when I was creating my solo. But anyway, today I'm going to be sharing my tips with you, so let's get started. My first tip, which comes up in a lot of my audition tip videos, is to check the school's guidelines that you're auditioning for. Check if they want a dance solo, how many schools want a dance solo, how long they want the solos, if there's a particular style they've asked for your solo to be in, do they want a jazz solo, etc, etc, etc. Just check the guidelines so you know what you're aiming for before you start creating. My next tip is to decide how many solos you want. So if you're auditioning for schools where more than one school needs a solo, are you going to use the same solo for each school, or are you going to use different solos? For example, one of the schools might be asking for a jazz solo and one might just say a dance solo, and there might be a different style of dance that you really want to show off instead, so you might decide to do two. Another reason you could do two is if they're asking for different lengths of solo, but you might decide to just do one and then do like two different cuts of it, two different versions of it. For my auditions for entry in September 2022, I did one solo, but I had two cuts of it. I think I had a minute 30 and a minute, which sort of backfired because I'd been filming a self-tape for, I think it was for Italia Conti, and I think that was 1 minute they wanted. And then shortly after, like the next day or a few days after or like a week after, I had an audition which I needed my solo for, and I was supposed to be doing the longer version, the 1 minute 30 version, but it kind of all went to pieces. I think I started trying to do the 1 minute version and then I was like, oh, that's the wrong version, so I just ended up improvising like the second bit of my solo. So yeah, be careful if you're going to do a cut of a solo. My third tip is about your music. So I would suggest you start by picking your music. This isn't mandatory. I had a friend who started by creating some movement and then found some music and kind of blended the two together. But for me personally, I find it easier to start with music. I'm not the most confident choreographer. I don't think choreography is one of my strengths, at least not at the moment. But I definitely find it easier to start with the music. I feel like it gives me ideas. You can listen to like the beats in it, like do you want to hit some of the beats, how fast or slow is it, also what the lyrics are saying if it's got lyrics. So yeah, I find it really helpful to have the music first. When you're choosing your music, I'd say to think about firstly how long your solo is going to be and therefore making sure the music is long enough. You'll probably have to cut your music because the likelihood is your song will be longer than the solo, but just in case you found a really short bit of music and you need a longer solo, just think about that. Also think about maybe what style you're going to do, what style of dance and what style of music might suit that or might help contribute to your overall feel or idea or theme you want to create, or if you want something really contrasting. I would also suggest maybe not picking the most obvious song, because the panel are going to see a lot of dance audition solos and they might keep hearing the same song over and over again. It's not really a problem if you do like a song that someone else has done. I don't think that's a problem. I think something that can make it interesting is picking something that kind of reflects you or like says a little bit about you. And you never know, they might ask you why you picked that song. For me, I picked the song Conspirar from El Rey Leon, which is the Spanish version of The Lion King. It's like the equivalent to the Be Prepared song, like Scar's song. So I picked the Spanish version of that because I speak Spanish, I love The Lion King, I love musical theatre, I wanted to do musical theatre-y songs, so yeah, that's why I picked it. My fourth tip is around the content of your solo, so what you should put in it. There's several little tips in this section, but firstly I would say to do what you want to do and what you can do well, not what you think that they want you to do. This is especially the case if you have a different dance section to your audition. So let's say you have like a dance call, like a jazz class or something, and then you also have to present your solo, then they're gonna see things in the jazz class that they want to see, like the technical stuff. So there's no need for you to necessarily put that in your solo if you don't want to, if it's not one of your strengths. If there isn't, if it's like a self-tape and you're just sending in the dance solo and that's the only dance element you're sending in, then if it's a jazz routine, they probably want a kick, a pirouette and a leap or jump of some sort in there, so I would suggest putting those things in. But in general, I would say to do what shows you off, and something that we were given as a tip was to do something that you can do well and you can consistently do well, because in an actual audition situation, if you're a bit under pressure, let's say you can sometimes do 3 pirouettes but it's a bit touch and go, then maybe don't put that in your solo. Maybe put a double in so that you know that you can do it every time, rather than getting it like 25% of the time but 75% of the time you make a mistake, you fluff it up, whatever. So don't make it too hard for yourself. Basically, you can put in whatever you like, so put in something that shows you off. I would also say, and this is maybe more of a personal thing, to not make it trick after trick after trick after trick. So do things that show you off. Let's say you've got a great layout and you do a layout, great, but don't do like 5 legs, a layout, 2 leaps, blah blah blah. Like, that's just my personal opinion. I think that it's nice to have a bit of like danced movement that isn't just tricks, like a bit more artistry and things in there as well. But saying that, if you have got a special trick or a special skill, or you're particularly flexible, or you're particularly, I don't know, good at something, then maybe put that in, show them something a bit different. I think that's a good idea, but just so long as that's not the whole solo, just tricks. If you're not a strong dancer, then play to some of your other strengths. Maybe you're great at characterizing and you create a solo that's got loads of performance and it's about your face and it's about how you do the movements rather than the difficulty of the movements itself. Just play to your strengths, it's your solo. My next tip or step, I don't know what we're doing now, but anyway, my next tip is about the process, and that is to just start. I feel like starting is the hardest bit, particularly if you're not very confident with choreography like me. Don't worry if you've never choreographed anything before, or if you're not so confident in your choreography abilities. I'm definitely not the best choreographer in the world, but I still managed to put together a solo, so you know, you can do it. I would suggest starting by yourself, or like in a space where you feel like you can try things out without being overly critical of yourself. I would suggest doing it in a space on your own, so you don't feel like you're being watched by others, so you can just explore to start with. Maybe try improvising to the music, that could be a good place to start, and seeing what moves come out of that, and then start building on things, changing maybe levels, speed and things like that to make it more varied. You could also think if you want like an arc or a storyline to your choreography. I don't think I really had an arc when I started creating it, although I think I kind of made one up in my head after I had the choreography. So I had the choreography and then I was like, let's fit a story to this so to make it easier to perform, but I don't think I had one from the beginning. I'd then suggest finding a friend or someone you trust who can help you out when you get stuck. So me and my friends used to book dance studios at college, and we'd both be working independently on our solos, but then if we got to like some point and we were just like sitting on the floor like, how do I get from here to standing again, then we could like help each other out, and you can also have someone to film you then so that you can remember your choreography, and also you could then watch that footage back, see what you like, see what you want to change. Which leads me very nicely onto my next point, which is about evaluating what you're doing. So you can film yourself as you go through and like correct things and change things, but also when you're nearer to the finished product, if you film yourself, then you can have a look at it and see what you like and see what you don't. Don't be overly critical, but just try and look at it objectively and be like, I like this needs changing, but that's fine. I'll just change it. Like, it's not a big deal, it's just so you can see your work. You could also ask a friend for feedback and make it clear that you want actual feedback of things you can work on, as well as things that you're doing well, so they don't feel like they have to just give you compliments. And also, if you can, getting a teacher to have a watch and getting their feedback as well. I feel like a fresh pair of eyes might really help you find things in the solo that you maybe hadn't thought about, or you didn't realise were happening, because you know, if you've been watching it over and over again, you're probably quite used to what it looks like, but someone else might have a fresh viewpoint. My next point is to rehearse and to practice your solo so that you're ready to perform it. Don't leave cutting your music till the last minute, do it sooner rather than later, particularly if it's jumping from one section to the other so that you can work on that transition. Also, it might be worth deciding what you're going to wear beforehand, and then you can practice in that. You can practice in the shoes that you want to wear. I'd also suggest practicing performing in front of people. We at college used to do our solos in front of the rest of the class as it got closer towards audition times, and this was really useful because it gives you that pressure of performing, because most people will feel a bit of pressure when they're in an audition situation, so it's good to practice with that beforehand. If you can't perform in front of people for whatever reason, maybe practice filming yourself but saying like, oh, I've got one take and then that'll be it, and I'm going to send this video to someone, so that you still get that same sense of pressure. And then my final tip is for when it actually gets to the audition, which is to enjoy performing it. Auditions are a great chance to show what you can do, so I'd just say to make the most of the opportunity that you have to perform and enjoy yourself. And those are all of my tips for this video. I hope that that's been helpful. I have loads of other videos on my channel about drama school auditions, including one about preparing for the dance section of a drama school audition, so have a look at my drama school audition playlist if you'd like to see that video or any of my other drama school audition related videos. If you've enjoyed this video, please do give it a like to let me know, and I'd really appreciate you subscribing if you haven't already, because as I said at the beginning, I'm trying to grow my channel and that would really help me out. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments, and yeah, thank you very much for watching. Bye!